Bets, Get That Money, Week 9 podcast. This is Nate Stephenson. I am joined by Mr. Big Boofy Scureman. Boof, I am, as you may be able to tell, I'm already on a high after last week, this week, recorded a little later this week, so I got some Thursday action in that already cashed. I'm up many units from last week.
Many units.
This week, the bankroll is blooming. It is blossoming. It is growing. I'm a very happy person.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm not having quite the same harvest, if you will, but I was up many units from last week. Not many units, but I was up many units from last week. And I happened to live with a young lady that herself was up many units last week.
Your girl crushed it last week, man.
So it was a very profitable week for us and hopefully all of our listeners.
Profitable for all. Units for all.
Yeah.
We're giving out units like Christmas presents. Just units for everybody.
Yep.
Units.
We told you this time was coming.
Yes, it is that time. It is mid-season, baby.
Time to get hot.
Here we are getting hot. Woo! I'm sorry. I'm still hot. Full disclosure, I was very, very excited. We're recording a little later this week, recording on Friday night. But I did say to Boof, I was like, I said, Boof, I'm telling you, I said, the thing I feel the best about on a Thursday night game is the Niners halftime spread. I got it at 5.5. I said, man, I feel great about this. Laid some cake on it. Cashed that very easily. I believe it was 21-7 at halftime. Niners. Already started the week off fantastic. So it was very good. It was very good. I was very happy.
Yeah, I myself, I got it at 6.5 for the first half, and I didn't necessarily love it as much as Nate did. So I only did one parlay. And it's a pretty big one. I mean, we'll see if it hits. It's a bit of a home run style parlay, but I always do at least something on a Thursday. But the thing that kind of put me over the edge to taking the halftime line versus anything else is the spread went from 9.5 up to 10.5 by the time I had placed my bet. And when it did that, it kind of pushed me over the edge to liking the halftime line at 6.5 the best.
Indeed.
And out of all the stuff that was in play, that actually hit. So I'm very happy that's what went down.
Indeed, I like winning.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm but the home run parlay is still alive, so that's good.
That's very good to hear, man. So
you want to do a little recap?
I was going to say, speaking of winning, let's a little recap of last week.
Well, for our personal locks here at Big Boof Bets, we had the Colts minus 5.5. They actually did not cover against Denver, and I was a little disappointed in that game because I do feel that Indy should have been able to handle that, but Denver showed up and whatever they did not cover.
Vinatieri also missed a field goal and an extra point, which would have covered.
Very much worth noting for sure. Yes, in a dome for the future Hall of Famer.
I think it's time for him to move on with his life's work.
Oh well. The Rams minus 13 did cover, and the Browns under 17. Also was a cover. So that brings the locks on the year up to 14, 11, and 1. And we're excited to bring you some new ones this week here. On a side note, hit on a sweet odds boost prop bet. It was through the Rivers site.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it was the Saints minus 14.
Mm-hmm.
The Patriots minus 14 and the Rams minus 14, and it was like a plus 1,200.
It was to win, not minus 14, but to win by 14 or more.
Correct. Yeah. So, for example, that would not be a push. Like it was, if you win by at least 14, it qualified.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a plus 1,200 boosting up to like plus 1,800 or something like that on their daily special.
Very tasty.
And that was kind of one of the tips we've talked about before, where throughout the different websites, they have different specials going on. It's definitely worth looking into them because there is money to be made in some of these.
Indeed. And I know we keep talking about normally it's your thing to give some nice pro tips to the people, as you say.
Well, that's one right there, baby.
If I can add to you that knowledge. So if you may recall last week, I was trying to inform the masses about the Tomlin game. If you bet on the Dolphins plus 14, good for you, because that definitely hit. But also, if the book that you use happens to offer a live cash out option, and you were paying attention appropriately, you might have made some money if you bet the Dolphins on the money line. Because I did a little, have some fun, play on my biases, single bet on the Dolphins money line for $50, and obviously the Dolphins did lose the game. But there was a point in time where the Dolphins were offering well over the Dolphins payout on the live cash out option was offering well over double your money. And I cashed that $50 bet out for over $100. So even though the Dolphins lost, I still won. I was very happy about that.
Actually, man, would you mind kind of going through the game, not necessarily play by play or anything, but what was going through your mind as a bettor? You actually put some money on the Steelers by the time it was over too, did you not?
I did. Yes, I did.
So just from the beginning, starting with taking them on the money line, going through it, because I felt like I learned something when you explained this to me during our discussion today.
No, absolutely. So it's one of those things where normally this is the type of game, if you feel like you know a team, not just like, obviously I'm a Steeler fan, so I feel like I have a pretty good read on my team because I watch them more than any other team. But if you feel like you know your team, you're looking for certain indicators and like, all right, I know that this team normally starts very slow, and they're playing a bad team. So it's one of those things where I put a speculative, let's be realistic, it's a speculative bet on the money line for the large underdog, and they started out really hot. So naturally, if you're looking at a live betting line, those will fluctuate very much during the game. So immediately, the book that you're at, they want to incentivize you to cash that bet out at a rate that's going to save them from paying you more money. So the fact that the Dolphins actually got up, they're like, hey, cash your bet out now for only $100 or $150 as opposed to almost $300 because they're still saving money. It's all about the casino making or losing as much as money as they can, or each way in the appropriate manner, obviously. So, long story short, it was one of those things where the Dolphins started out 14-0, up 14-0, and it's one of those things like you can go one of two ways. You either think they're going to win and you ride it out, or you start to, if you're watching the game and your book live, you're trying to get a proper read where like, okay, do I think that they're going to win, or do I see the tide starting to turn and I want to try to make money on this bet before it becomes a losing proposition? And that's what Boof's talking about. The Dolphins jumped out 14-0, and the game started to swing, and I was like, you know what? Cash out. I think the Dolphins are going to lose.
Did you cash out? When did you cash out? Did you cash out after that touchdown at the end of the half, or was it before that?
I actually cashed out during the second quarter. I'm sorry, before that touchdoright. Okay. It was one of those things where
just getting that vibe.
Exactly. Once it was 14-3, the Steelers got the ball back in the second quarter and looked like, all right, they stopped the Dolphins' momentum. I was like, you know what? And the thing is, the books are so smart, too, because the line started going down, too. So it's one of those things like, you know what? Like, I can still double my money right here. And I think most bettors, if you're looking at potentially, if you think you have a good read on the game, a losing bet, as opposed to I can immediately double my money right now, like, you're an idiot if you don't take that.
Right.
So that's why I'm saying, you know what? Cash out. Boom. I'm taking it right now. And then right after that, Steelers got a touchdown. They go into the half at 14-10. And I thought that they had a lot of momentum, so I put money on the Steelers' third quarter money line to win the third quarter. Obviously, they did because the Dolphins didn't score any more points the rest of the game. So it was one of those things where I hit on the Dolphins' first quarter money line, the Dolphins' first quarter point spread, Dolphins' first half spread, my money line cash out bet on the Dolphins, and the Steelers' third quarter money line. So I pretty much across the board honestly couldn't have played it much more perfectly.
Yeah, it was. I was very impressed when you just kind of explained all that to me in our discussion. And I know that might sound a little complicated and everything, but I definitely think it's worth sharing because obviously if you listen to us, you're into betting. Yep. So It's definitely something that I want to pay attention to more myself, is all the live line action that's going on in a particular game, especially if you are committed to watching one game. So I think it really can apply to a Sunday night, a Thursday night, or a Monday night game where it's the only game on TV and your attention isn't taken off of said game.
It has your full attention. And the biggest thing is, too, with those things, and it's one of those, you definitely have to exercise patience and discipline. It honestly comes a lot of that comes with thinking you have a good read on the teams playing and what you think is going to happen. Because if you're just making knee-jerk reactions based on, every drive or every play, you can find yourself starting to chase. You never want to find yourself starting to chase. If you're chasing, you already have the wrong mindset. Sometimes it's about cutting your losses, minimizing your losses, or trying to jump on a specific moment in time where you find it most valuable. And also, obviously, as well, like having set amounts where you're going to do. If you're thinking about what amount you're going to bet, you're already probably missing out on the opportunity to bet it properly. Like that's very, very important. If I can offer those few tips on live betting.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all good stuff. And if you're ready, I think we can jump into this week's game.
Hey, man, let's get into it. We're going to start with the 9:30 London game here. We got the Texans at the Jaguars. The basically London's unofficial home team, the Jaguars
the
here.
Adopted Jags.
Indeed. They are getting 1.5 points. The total is 46.5. I love the Jags here. They are actually in my top 5. I think it is a really, really tough loss for the Texans, losing J.J. Watt last week. One of my favorite players in the NFL. I love his ability, love his attitude. Just a great guy. It's a really easy guy to root for. So really sucks seeing him get hurt. Everything he's done as a player and off the field. But having said that, you got to take into account how those things affect the team and the play on the field. And I think it's a big emotional blow for the Texans, both as far as your game day leadership and just your play on the field. He's a big part of their defense, and you have a Jacksonville team with Gardner Minshew, who's reclaimed a little bit of the magic. Had a down week or two, maybe a little rookie learning curve, maybe league adjusting a little bit, but they're taking care of business. They're in the wild card hunt. Heck, if if teams fall right in their division, they keep playing well. I mean, they could even still be in contention for a division title here. So, I like the Jags. I think Gardner does a great job of getting stuff out of his receivers. DJ Chark's having a great year. Fournette's having a great year. I believe he's leading the league in rushing, and you have the unsurety of what's going on with Jalen Ramsey, no longer an issue with Jacksonville. So. I think the Jags are in a good spot here. I mean, Houston hasn't. This is their first game in London, so they have to deal with that on top of what I already outlined with J.J. Watt. It's all that leads me to not only hard lean Jacksonville, but they are in my top 5 at plus 1.5.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't love the Texans, but I like the Texans here. They have won the last 3 meetings against each other, and that includes this season's game. J.J. Watt, to me, is not the same guy that's won Defensive Player of the Year and has even been in the MVP conversation from 3 years ago. He has been injured recently. This isn't the first time that has happened.
Oh, no doubt.
He still has statistically very nice production. I mean, he's got some of the sexy stats, 15-plus sacks and stuff. But when you watch the Texans, he doesn't thoroughly dominate the game the way he did, a few years ago. Still an awesome player. He will definitely be missed, but he's not quite at that super elite level that he was at with the Aaron Donalds and Khalil Macks that are kind of doing it like that right now.
I hear you. Absolutely.
I am a believer in Deshaun Watson. That is probably the biggest element of this for me as far as why I like the Texans. I I don't have much more to add to it, though. So, I don't know. I like the Texans here. I don't love them, but that would be my pick.
All right. We got the Redskins traveling to Buffalo. They are getting 10.5 points, and the total is 37. That is a low-ass total. Holy crap.
It is,
That's
isn't it?
Low-ass total.
And it's sad that I'm not immediately over.
37 points.
Yeah. It's sad that I could still see the under.
Oh, man. I like this game a lot more, minus 9.5 for Buffalo. But 10.5, now you start to get into fringe, unsure water.
Touchdown field goal doesn't get it done.
Yeah, no. I mean,
that's a checkpoint.
Yeah, I look at the Bills as a similar team to the Vikings, but not as good as the Vikings. I mean, obviously you can't game to game basis. Obviously, you can't just immediately across the board translate everything. But like I said, I look at Buffalo as a similar team to the Vikings. You have a Vikings team that granted it was a Thursday night game, which those
get a little goofy.
They get a little goofy at times, but they only beat the Redskins 19-9. Minnie has a better offense than Buffalo. Defensively, I'd say they're very similar. But at the same time with Buffalo, I mean, you could say they have maybe not as much recently. With Cousins has been killing it for Minnesota, but they have some Buffalo has some inconsistency at quarterback with Josh Allen. So take all that in consideration. 10.5 is a big number. Now, the thing that could flip that a little bit is, from what I'm hearing, Keenum isn't going to play for Washington.
That is my understanding as well.
So you're looking at Dwayne Haskins, who has not looked good. Has been a turnover machine when he's played too. So
and their own coaches have looked for any excuse to continue to not put in this top 5 pick.
Yeah,
it's obvious he hasn't looked good in practice. And then the opportunities you've seen him in a game, you start to be like, boy, well, this is probably why they didn't want to put him in.
Well, maybe the coach should have not wanted to not put him in because the coach ain't there anymore either. So.
It's just not a good situation.
Yeah.
There.
So I mean the wild card of a potential defensive scorer that Haskins, let's face it, ups the probability of. If you're giving me that, yeah, the Bills can definitely cover 10.5, but you can never count on a defensive score unless you're the Patriots. But so yeah, 10.5. I like the Bills to win, but I mean, it's a 10.5 spread. It's not really saying that much against a crappy Redskins team. So I'm passing on that, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. I pretty much feel the exact same way. I mean, I've liked the Bills all year. But 10.5 is just too much. So I definitely think they're capable of it, but it's not something I have a ton of confidence in. So it's definitely a pass for me as well.
All right, sounds good. All right, we got the Titans traveling to Carolina. They are getting 3 points. The total is 42. I believe you and me are both in agreement on this one. People, I think, are making a big deal about Tannehill winning his first 2 starts with Tennessee, but in reality, Tennessee's kind of a fraud. I mean, they should have lost their last 2 games. They should have lost to Tampa Bay. They were a blown call away from losing to Tampa Bay.
A true blown call, not like the official literally blew his whistle
on a touchdown
for Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I mean, at the end, late in the fourth quarter. It literally is many things you can add to that. But oh, wait a minute. Oh, well, all these things could have happened. No, it was late in the fourth quarter.
Talking 40 seconds
on a turnover, on a touchdown. It literally was a blown call.
Yeah.
That would have probably changed the outcome of the game. So you have that. And then against the Chargers, it was my understanding there were a couple very, very important. I can't recall off the top of my head, so forgive me, but there were a couple very, very important things that happened in that game that changed the outcome. That they barely beat a very bad Chargers team at home, 23-20. I believe it was a goal line stand at the end for
yeah.
Tennessee,
Well, if
right?
you remember, Eckler, well, obviously you don't remember, but Eckler,
I know.
Eckler had to play where it looked like he crosses the goal line. Now they reviewed it.
That's right. Yeah,
and it was one that I don't know. You just watched them like he scored, and they didn't count it. And they had 2 reviews inside the one. Both of them went Tennessee's way. But yeah, at the end of the day, they made the stand down there and got out alive.
Yeah. Don't have a lot of faith in the Titans. Don't have a lot of faith in Ryan Tannehill. I like the Panthers to bounce back this week. They are at home. I think the game against San Francisco is an outlier in a lot of ways. San Francisco right now is looking better and better by the week. I mean, obviously they're undefeated, but I think it was just a perfect storm. Blowouts happen, even to the best teams occasionally. It's just the perfect storm events happen. Plus you have a young quarterback in a hostile environment against one of the best teams in the league, which San Francisco certainly seems like. So in a lot of ways, I think you can throw that one out the window. I don't believe that's who the Panthers are. I like them to bounce back this week against the Titans, and I will lay the -3, and they are in my top 5.
Yeah, I'm with you. The 49ers, I agree, have looked awesome. Now, they obviously kicked the Panthers' butt last week, but I'm with you. I think that's an outlier. Besides that, Kyle Allen has won all of his starts, and I expect them to be able to cover -3 against a Tennessee Titans team that I do not think is very good. Frankly, I think we should be thankful that Tennessee has won their last 2 games and the Panthers got their butt kicked, because now we have this juicy -3 line at home. Mm-hmm. And they are also in my top 5, which means that is our first lock of the day.
Lock it in, baby.
Lock it in, baby. Let's get that money.
Get that money.
Get that money.
All right, next game. We got the Bears traveling to Philly. They are getting 4.5 points. The total is 41.5. The Bears suck. Like, they suck. Like, we thought there was going to be a regression this year. I mean, boy, has there ever been a regression. Like,
yeah.
By everybody, including Bitchke.
This is the theme of the last few weeks here.
Bitchke should literally change the name on the back of his jersey. He should get rid of the True and just have Bitchke. Because, like, I could probably put the Dallas Cowboys cheerleading squad in a quarterback. They might do a better job. Like, it's bad. Like, their passing game is non-existent. Their offense is non-existent. I mean, they might hit 20 points, in a couple games combined here, the way things are going. Philly's getting healthier across the board. I hate them. The Bears I have gone so far down on the Bears in a couple weeks. Like, you lost to the Chargers at home. The Chargers have half a team. And you let Old Man Rivers beat you at home. No. Give me Philly here, baby. Like, if 4.5, if it's at 4.5, it gives me a little concern, because the Bears do have
I got them at 4 on Rivers.
Yeah, they have a little bit of a defense there. I mean, not a little bit. They have some players on defense. So they still have Khalil Mack. You can never count out Khalil Mack.
No doubt.
But, like, if you give me the Philly at 3 or 4, like, I'm on that all day. So, there's some books that have it at 4.5, still some at 4. I don't like it as much at 4.5, but at 3 or 4, give me Philly, baby. Fly Eagles fly.
Yeah, I like Philly. They're not in my top 5 or nothing, but I do like Philly. My areas of concern are just, you look at the Dallas game, in their first 2 drives, we got receivers fumbling the football, both of which lead to touchdowns. They lose the game. They lost to Atlanta. Yeah. It's just like it's just an inconsistency factor with them that I don't necessarily have complete trust in them. However, if you're willing to take a little bit of a risk, I do think this is a team that might be finding their stride, and if they can correct some very correctable stuff, not like, we just need to get a guy that runs a 4.2 at wide receiver. Like, it's not like some stuff that, like, can't happen. Like, we're talking about wide receivers holding on to the football here. We're talking about not dropping the ball, stuff like that. And I think Philly is still a pretty good team. Mm-hmm. And I'm with you. I think the Bears are terrible. So 4 points to me is not that big of a deal. I like Philly by a touchdown at least. It's just their inconsistency factor is what has me keeping them out of my top 5. But I do like them, and I do expect them to cover.
Also like minus 17, or I'm sorry, not minus 17, under 17.5 points are the Bears right now.
Yeah,
too.
that is another pick I like too. We talked about that one. And again, I mean, the Bears are just so bad on offense. Philly's defense hasn't been great or anything, but they are getting a little healthier.
Yeah, I mean, Bitchke's been bad, so I don't really like the Bears to score 3 touchdowns, so give me under 17.5.
Yep.
All right, next game. We got the Jets traveling to Miami. They are giving 3 points. The total is 42.5. As we've learned when it comes to Miami, even when they're winning, they don't want to. So, I mean, even if they get up in this game, they'll just probably call another zero coverage blitz and just give the Jets a touchdown.
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
Darnold's looking to exercise his demons, or should I say ghosts. And I think you got a Jets team that sees an opportunity to get a win here. The Dolphins, Miami does not want to win. And so I feel like you get me a field goal in this situation, give me the Jets, man, all day. Give me the Jets. They're in my top 5.
I'm with you. They are also in my top 5. Miami is in a class even lower than the Bears. They are the lowest of the low here. They have covered 3 points only once. That was against the Redskins, who are almost in as low of a class as Miami. But they are truly in their own echelon.
Dude, they could have beat the Redskins, and they literally purposely dropped, arguably.
Yeah,
there's some conspiracy.
Yeah, exactly.
They might have purposely dropped a 2-point conversion to win the game.
Possibly, maybe.
Tanking for Tua.
You know what? If they didn't do it on purpose, they did it because they stink. And either way, they dropped it. You know what I'm saying? And here we are. They're playing the Jets. They're at home. It's a divisional game. The Jets, to me, well, they are not good either. But they are a better team than Miami. We're talking about a field goal here. It's not an outlandish spread or anything. Give me the Jets. They're also in my top 5. That gives us our second lock of the day. Lock it in.
Lock it in, baby.
Get that money.
All right, our next game. We have the Indianapolis Colts traveling to play our Pittsburgh Steelers. Game is currently at a pick'em.
Straight up pick 'em.
Pick'em.
I like it.
Who you think's going to win?
I like it. True old-fashioned. Who do you like?
Who do you like in the game?
No points necessary.
Who you guys like? Total's 40.5, which is actually has dropped a few points here. It was at 43.5. I liked starting out a little differently here. My favorite bet initially on this game was under 43.5. Now, very key piece of information that happened late this week, which, advantage of us doing the podcast late this week is T.Y. had a calf injury in practice today, so he's actually out for the game, which probably explains part of the line drop for the total in this game. So down to 40.5. I definitely don't like that anywhere near as much as 43.5. I would actually, if you're still trying to go under, because I do think this could be a low scoring game, I would definitely buy a few points on this, at least back up to where it was, if not even 45, because that's when you're in 24-21, 23-20, 24-20, that type of game, which I definitely think this could be, because every single game the Colts have played this year, it has been decided by a touchdown or less. So that is extremely important. I think the safest route, because full disclosure, trying to remove my Steeler biases, I do think the Colts are the more talented team across the board. I would probably buy. I'd feel fairly safe putting the Steelers in a 7.5 teaser. But as far as picking a winner, that Broncos performance by the Colts last week at home, only winning by 2, that scared me off some. You have a very shaky kicker situation with Vinatieri, as we already said, potentially cost the Colts a cover. If you're making me lean, I'm going to lean Steelers, probably as I told you exactly not to do last week, probably leaning on my fan bias a little bit, I'm sorry. And then there's also the extra stat, which does play into that for me as well. The Colts are 0-5 with the last 5 games without T.Y. in the lineup. T.Y. is not in the lineup. You have a very strong Steeler defense at home who is still, trying to stay in the playoff race. So I'm going to lean Steelers. I think your best bet is the under on the total if you're buying a few points. And the floor is yours there, Mr. Boofy.
Yeah, I disagree. I like the Colts here. I do not believe in the Steelers. Now, they're riding a 3-game winning streak, but we need a little bit of a reality check here. They beat the Chargers, who have 3 wins. They've beaten the Bengals that don't have any, and they beat the Dolphins that also do not have any. So we're talking about a combined 3 wins out of the people that they have beaten, or the teams that they have beaten this season.
It's a lot.
So, we're riding high, beating up on some scrubs. Now, here come the Colts, who, say what you want, they're 5-2. Mm-hmm. Their games are close, blah, blah, blah. There is literally no spread in this game. So we're talking about, are they going to win or not? In my mind, yes, they are. We can talk crap on Adam Vinatieri. You know how the Colts won last week? Vinatieri hit a game-winning field goal. So we're not talking about covering a spread here. We're talking about winning the game. I think the Colts are the better team. The Steelers do not have Steph to it. It kind of reminds me of when, I think I've talked about this before, it reminds me of when Aaron Smith, we used to be out for the Steelers, and it's noticeable just his effect on the defense here. And here come the Colts with an offensive line that is as good as anybody else's in the league, and they're going to come at the Steelers in the running game where the Steelers are weak compared to where you kind of think of a Steelers defense to be. So I like the Colts. I like them a lot. They are in my top 5. And I got a strong disagree with Nate here.
Pizza box.
Pizza box worthy.
I might pizza box that with you. Pizza box the Steelers. That's like anti.
That is
anti you.
I'm going against all my rules.
I might make you pay for that.
I don't care.
I'm gonna make you pay for that.
I'm sorry. This one. This is Colts.
Oh man. All right. Moving on to the 4:00 games. We got the Lions traveling to Oakland. For once, the Raiders are playing at home, finally, after literally
a true home game.
After literally 7 weeks.
Yeah.
The Raiders are at home. They are laying 2.5 points, and the total is 50.5. I gotta say, I'd like to know what the spread on this game would be if Darius Slay was healthy. I was a little surprised to see that the Raiders are laying 2.5 points, but I mean as I was talking with Boof pre-show, the Raiders have kind of defied the odds a little bit with me this year.
Me too.
They've definitely exceeded expectations for me. So it's to the point where I saw that line. I was like, under a field goal for the Raiders. I'd consider it. But at the same time, the Lions, in a very similar manner, really they're almost like. I guess they've done a lot of Raider-like things this year in terms of they've played a lot of close games. They played a lot of good teams tough. If Darius Slay was healthy, I would be all over the Lions here, especially if it got the 3. I still might be a little bit on the Lions here if it gets the 3. But as it is, at 2.5, I would lean Raiders. I don't feel completely comfortable either way, just because I think these are 2 similar teams. The 50.5 number is interesting for me here, though. Without Slay, Raiders have put up some points. Lions have put up some points. Stafford is playing really well this year. I mean, this could easily be a 27-24 game. That's already at 51. I've heard these so-called experts calling for a shootout. So, I think if I would do anything in this game and feel the best about it, it'd probably be the over. But beyond that, this game's almost pick 'em for me.
Yeah, I don't like the game. I personally I've gone back and forth on it between which team I would actually take. And I just don't have confidence in either one of them. And I know when I personally am wavering back and forth, that to me is just automatic, stay away. And that's just how I feel about the game. So I'm staying away.
All right, next game, we got Tampa Bay traveling to Seattle. They are getting 5 points, and the total is 53. I don't have much to say about this game, Boof, just purely due to the fact that I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good. I don't feel great about the money line for Seattle, which is where I would lean. So if I'm only leaning the money line for Seattle, I definitely don't feel good about laying 5 points. As far as Tampa Bay is concerned, Jameis Winston has reverted back to his blow-up ways for about two or three of the last 3 or 4 games. He has not looked good, and I just don't feel good about him. I don't feel good about their offense. I don't feel good about their defense. I just don't like this game. I'm staying away from it, and on to you, man.
Yeah. When I first saw the line, it was at 6 points, and I was kind of rooting for it to go up to 7, and I was thinking I was going to take Tampa Bay. It's actually gone in the other direction. It's now down at +5, and Seattle's been good. Russell Wilson has been awesome, but at the end of the day here, Seattle wants to run the football. Now their center is out. Tampa Bay's defense is one of the better defenses against the run in the NFL. And I look at this, and this is just a game that, for me, I don't want to touch. And Nate was actually talking about taking Seattle on the money line. I actually disagree. For me, if I was going to move the line that much, so the spread is at 5 right now.
You did bring up a very good point here. I do like this point, yeah.
For me, if you're going to move it down to the money line for Seattle, you get the crappy payout. And I still feel that, I wouldn't be shocked at all if Tampa Bay were to go in and win that game. So it's still a fairly decent chance that they're going to lose the game and you're not going to make any money off of it. I don't like that bet. For me, I would do the opposite. I would take 5 more points in the other direction and get Tampa Bay at +10. I would feel much more comfortable with Tampa Bay at +10 than I would with Seattle on the money line. So if anything, I would maybe pad a parlay with something like that. But for the most part, for me, this is a stay away kind of game.
Yeah, I just don't feel good about anything with this game, unfortunately. All right, we're moving on. We got the Browns traveling to Denver. I hesitate when giving this spread because the Browns started as underdogs. I think they were getting 1.5. They're now up to -3.5. We have a 5-point swing here. Even if Flacco was a quarterback here, I would like the Browns at -3. Now you have this dude, Brandon Allen, I believe is his name. I didn't even know it completely.
Brad,
I wasn't even sure.
something like that.
Not Kyle. Kyle's good. Kyle's good. Not that one. Some dude named this dude named is Brandon Allen. He was drafted in 2016 by the Jaguars. He's been claimed off waivers by a couple teams. He's
picked up on my fantasy team.
For real?
Oh yeah, dude. I had Flacco as QB3, and now
I didn't even know
there aren't any QBs in my league.
I'm sorry, you're a double
if
QB.
somebody becomes available, you need him.
You're a double QB league. I totally forgot. You should probably pick up Andrew Locke. Or Drew Locke, whatever the hell his name is. They get the rookie, the first round rookie. They picked up that guy. I think he's going to start when he's healthy, so you probably pick up that guy. But I didn't even know that. That's hilarious.
I think I actually dropped him already as well. So I picked him up and have already dropped him.
Oh, so way to be that douchebag that picks a guy up and then puts him
exactly.
on waivers. Somebody else, no one else can pick him up this week.
Everybody else this week.
Oh, you're that guy. You're that guy. I don't like you now. I don't feel good about the Broncos. If you're you have a guy starting a quarterback that literally got picked up September 1st. He didn't even spend training camp with you. He hasn't even started a game in the NFL. He's basically a damn rookie. The Broncos suck.
Yep.
They suck. So they haven't scored points. You do have a team in Cleveland who we've been saying all year. It's like, is this the week that Cleveland pulls it together? Is this the week that Cleveland pulls it together? This is the closest I can say, right? I feel semi-confident-ish that I say Cleveland pulls it together, at least for a week, and wins a damn game by at least a field goal. So
spread's 3.5.
I was just about to say, I paused because I look at the spread. I see it's minus 3.5. So I'm like, by at least a 3.5. Oh shit. Yeah. So it's like, yeah. The best advice I can give you on this game is I think there's a higher probability that Cleveland wins by 4 or more, just because of how bad how bad the Broncos are on offense. But if you want to feel safe-ish, buy the point, get it down to 3. So at least, if you're putting it in a parlay, it's not killing you. You're at least pushing. But I say all that. I'm like, the Browns are my top 5. So, yes, the Browns are my top 5. They're probably my least confident of my top 5. But they're in my top 5. So, Boof, I know you probably kind of feel similarly-ish.
That describes it very well. I do like Cleveland here. I'm with you. I would very much like that to find a way back down to 3 or less. But here we are at 3.5. I guess my biggest concern, well, not my biggest concern, but a big concern is the penalties that Cleveland just takes week after week. And it just kills them. And we're going to go on the road now again. And to me, penalties show up more when we're on the road. And the other concern is just their pass protection continues to be terrible. And we're talking about a guy like Von Miller that you're going to have to deal with. So, I mean, what's to stop him from going in and getting a strip sack for a touchdown? You know what I mean? Something like that. Yeah. So, it's plays like that I'm afraid of. You watched the Browns play New England last week, and Nick Chubb puts the ball on the ground twice. They try to run one of those jet sweeps where they do the little toss pass.
The little shovel jet sweep
stuff.
Yeah.
So, you can pad the QB stats and everything. And that pass gets intercepted and taken for a touchdown. I mean, it was like intercepting a handoff for a touchdown.
He literally did intercept a handoff, basically. It was crazy.
Cleveland just seems to be missing the details here. So it's tough for me to trust them in a top 5 sense.
That's what happens when your head coach sucks.
And, yeah, I mean, we can't ignore that either. And their own players are starting to express their frustration with that. So, for me, that's what keeps them out of my top 5. That's what has me afraid of the pick. But I do still like it. That is what my pick is, as far as if you were making me. And I do like it more than most of the other stuff on the slate. So
not top 5able.
Not top 5able, though. I'm sorry. I can't go that much confidence with it.
All right. So, yeah, just to recap that.
Like it, don't love it.
The last of my top 5, not in Boof's top 5, but we do both like the Browns to win this week by at least 3. So use that information at your discretion.
Yeah.
So we are now moving on to I think both of ours game of the week. The Packers at the Chargers. Don't overthink this one. The Packers they're on a roll. They're pulling it together. A-Rod is looking like the all-pro that he is. The Chargers are injured, old, and they suck. And they're playing at home, which basically means it's a home game for whatever team they're playing this week. And
they're playing at Green Bay West.
In this case, the Packers, who travel well, the Packers are only getting 3.5. I would bet this game up to a touchdown for the Packers. Lay the points, and they are my number 1 game of the week, and definitely in my top 5.
Yeah, I love the Packers as well. I mean, they've won 4 in a row. They've covered 3.5 in 3 of those. And the Chargers have not been good this year, so it's a pretty straightforward bet for me. I'm with you. Don't overthink it. Lay the points, get the money.
I have many.
They are in my top 5.
Yes, indeed. I have many units on this game. Many units. Many units will be won. Lock it in, baby.
Lock it in. That's lock number 3.
Get that money.
All right, we're moving on to the Patriots traveling to Baltimore. The spread is 3. New England is laying 3 at the Ravens. Total is 44.5. You may are kind of, I won't even say at odds on this game. But
I think we agree on the game. You're just more afraid of Lamar Jackson than I am.
Yeah.
Not to say I'm not afraid of Lamar Jackson.
What Boof's trying to say is when I say
how to put it.
Yeah. What Boof's trying to say is when I say I'm afraid of Lamar Jackson, I mean I'm afraid that Bill Belichick is a master at game planning for what is predictable, for what you have on film, for what you can show. But one of Lamar's biggest assets and the type of quarterback that he is the ability to just make unpredictably good plays. His athleticism and his arm talent give him the ability to just escape at times, a sure stop for the defense and extend a play and make a play. Like those are the types of things that can give, a great defensive mind or a great defense problems. They can flip a game completely around. And when you're a home team, you're getting 3 points. I mean, that's a big deal. And then you add in the fact that Harbaugh is one of the few coaches in the league that historically has given Bill Belichick some issues. And now Baltimore's playing at home. They've gotten a little better defensively with getting Peters at corner with the trade with the Rams. I'm not going to go as far as to be like, oh my God, yes, give me the Ravens. The Patriots still the Patriots. Do I think they're going to go undefeated? No. This is one of those games where I'm like, if it's going to happen, this is one of the higher probabilities that it could happen. But as a very, very wise person said, I can't remember who it was, or I'd quote him and give him credit for it. If you blindly bet against the Patriots, you will only be cashing 40% of your tickets. That's really bad.
Yep.
So I am following that advice. I am following that logic. I am not betting against the Patriots, but I'm also not betting for the Patriots because I think this is a potential stumbling block game for them. Because let's face it, teams just don't go undefeated in the NFL unless you're the Dolphins or the Patriots. But then again, the Patriots aren't playing the Giants, so whatever. But yes, you get my point. So I'm scared. It's all about dodging bullets, as I've said.
Exactly.
I'm trying to dodge a bullet.
I do have them in my top 5. New England is New England. Their defense is awesome. They've scored more than they've given up. Yada yada yada. Blah blah blah. The stuff you say about Baltimore and Jackson, I don't disagree with or anything. I'm just less worried that it's going to happen this Sunday. Is basically what it comes down to. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think New England's the better team. If they play 10 times, I think they win 8 of them. I'm good with that. The spread's only 3.
Can't disagree with that.
Of course, it could be one of the two where Lamar is really going to play awesome and screw it all up. But oh well, I can live with that. Patriots are in my top 5. If they're only a 3 spread on anybody this year, I'm going to be taking them.
Sound logic, Boof. Sound logic. All right, moving on to the Monday night game. We have the Dallas Cowboys traveling to New York to play the Giants. The Cowboys are laying 7 points, and the total is 48. I don't feel great about really anything in this game, Boof. Cowboys haven't looked that great. They've lost 3 of their last 4. The Giants are getting healthier, but they still have a really bad defense. And considering the Cowboys have gotten healthier offensively, that leads me to believe that Cowboys aren't going to have that much of a problem scoring points. But I do see potential and improvement in the Giants' offense with Daniel Jones at quarterback. So honestly, I don't feel anything in this game is top 5-able, but I think the best bet in this game actually might be over 48. You had, I believe it was a 35-17 game in Dallas with Eli Manning at quarterback. So, I mean, that easily covers 48. I do, you have Barkley getting healthier, Ingram's back, Shepard's back. I think they have enough on offense to do some damage, especially now they're at home. So, I mean, I don't like really anything that much other than over 48.
Yeah, man. This game was at 7.5 earlier, and I remember thinking to myself, boy, I would really like to see that come down to 7. And here we are. It's Dallas -7, and I still don't feel comfortable with it. So for me, that kind of tells me to stay away. The Giants offensively are going to have all their guys available for the first time with Daniel Jones, at least from a skill position standpoint. Shepard is in, Golden Tate's back from his suspension, Barkley's in, Ingram's in. All the guys are available. So I'm worried from that standpoint. Now, I am off the Giants from where I was at a few weeks ago. At the end of the day, for me, I mean, Daniel Jones has 2 wins, one of which comes off of a missed field goal from Tampa Bay. So besides that, I mean, we'd be sitting here talking about you've beaten the Redskins and you've lost everybody else. So, like, I'm not as high on him as I was initially, which is why I was rooting for the spread to come down to 7. But my gut just kind of still has me at I'm not comfortable with it. So for me, it's a stay away game, and that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, we're definitely. I think it's safe to say we're both in agreement with that game. But that's all the games already. So let's do a little recap here, a little top 5 recap here. My top 5 for this NFL Week 9 slate of games. We have Jacksonville at home in London, getting 1.5 points. You have the Panthers -3, the Jets -3, the Browns -3.5. I recommend buying that down to 3, and the Packers -3.5. Take them up to 7 and feel great about it.
Mine were the Panthers -3, the Jets -3. We have the Colts in a pick'em. We've got the Packers -3.5 and the Patriots -3. And that means that our locks were the Panthers -3, the Jets -3, and the Packers -3.5. Sorry, -3.5.
Yeah, take them up to -21.
Best of luck to everybody, and let's get that money.
Get that money.
Get that money.